Okay, welcome to another video about the upgrades on my Exige V6, and today we're going to talk a little bit about interior. So interior for me is not, I suppose, if I'm blatantly honest, massively important. It's not up there on the priorities list. As long as it's reasonably kind of nice, I'm not hugely fussed. But I have done a couple of little things, so I'll talk about those. If you really want an example of someone who spent a lot of time sorting their interior out, then I suggest you look up the many photos of Mr. G.F. Williams. He has refined the interior of his car to an incredible degree, and has gone to massive efforts to make it a very refined place to be. One of the few things I've done is I've painted my steering wheel black, as you can see here. Improves the look of the steering wheel in my opinion quite a lot. In order to do that, you do have to take the steering wheel off. It's a fairly simple operation. There are plenty of YouTube videos to show you how to do that. And then just get some nice black paint to spray it with. I also changed the colour of the airbag surround to gunmetal. That's in line with the rest of my car. A lot of the little features of the car being gunmetal, I wanted it to match in. Another little touch I did was that I painted the numbers on the gear knob there. I don't know if you can see it because the sun's really bright at the moment. I painted those in red. That was really easy to do. But the most effort I've put in, I suppose, with regards to my internal upgrades would be the stereo system. So as you can see here, there's some cheesy 90s rock set playing. I chose the Pioneer SPH10BT. I'll tell you why I chose that, because there was a particular thought process behind it. I do appreciate the very nice fold-out large screen units that you can get. They look very good. But I always think with those units that you're very much tied to the technology of the time, and therefore as soon as they start to go out of date, you're kind of stuck with that, and then in order to replace it you have to spend several £100s to get an updated unit. The attraction of the Pioneer unit was that it effectively uses your mobile phone as the interface for the stereo, and therefore if you change your phone, which most people do quite regularly, you're immediately upgrading the interface. You're upgrading the screen quality, and you're upgrading the speed with which it operates at. And that's something you would do as a matter of course anyway. The integration of the app and the system, the way it works on the phone, is reasonably good. When it's up and running, it works really quite well. It incorporates navigation, voice activation. You can listen to the radio, obviously play MP3 tracks off of your phone. Or you can actually plug a memory stick into the front of the unit if you really want to. The phone is secured in place by this cradle, which is very good, very sturdy. The cradle will actually fold away into the head unit if you don't want it around, and then you can just leave your phone on the side seat if you like, and it will still connect to the head unit via Bluetooth. And you can have the phone in either landscape or portrait mode. I prefer it in portrait mode personally. The head unit has a reasonably punchy little 4x50 watt MOSFET amplifier. It's definitely more punchy than the Clarion unit that was removed and it replaced. And in typical Pioneer fashion, it has a very punchy sort of sound. In line with changing the head unit, I decided to change the speakers as well. So I have JBLs up front, which are JBL X402s. Nice mid-range, decent quality two-way speakers. And then for bass duties, I went to the effort of installing a sub. Again, another JBL unit, so I'd got voice matching, and that's the JBL Bass Pro Nano. The reason why I went for a behind-the-seat install, there were a number of reasons for that. I was originally going to try and install it down here in the footwell, like a lot of people do. But just sourcing power for it easily was a pain in the bum down there. whereas I was able to source 20 amp feed straight off of the accessory socket down here, which meant that it was just a really straightforward sourcing of power. All cabling was run basically down behind the steering column and down under the carpet, which is really easy to pull away and get to. Sound wise, it's a really nice little system. I've been into audiophile stuff with regards to home systems for quite some time, and the sound that you want in a car, in my opinion, is very different from the sound in the house. You've got to overcome all that road noise and the sound of that V6 behind you, and for that you really need something with punch. You can't really be subtle. The Pioneer and the JBL setups definitely got that. I tried earlier to authentically record and demonstrate the sound of the system, but to be honest, through a mobile device you don't really get a good idea of that. So that's most of the upgrades that I've done to the internals of my car so far. I do actually plan to put in some Alcantara myself at some point. I'm fairly confident with that sort of thing. Probably some on the binnacle here, maybe elsewhere, I haven't quite decided yet. But yeah, that's the interior of my car.